All right, thanks everybody for joining our webinar today. We are excited for this Topic Tuesday around College ROTC programs in the state of Mississippi and just in general. So if you're joining us today, we've got a great panel of experts in this space that we're very excited that represent a lot of good information. And so this was a topic that you as audience have requested, and so we're very excited about today's webinar. So as everyone is joining, as normal, we got some housekeeping. So we are in webinar mode, and so we cannot see or hear you, but we do want to know and engage with you still in this process. And so what that looks like is you have the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. That's where if you'll put your questions in for our presenters, they will address those throughout the presentation, and we'll have a set Q&A time. So if you anything that you hear, any questions you are bringing to this presentation around the topic of College ROTC, make sure you utilize that feature. And then the chat feature at the bottom of your screen is how you can engage with the panelists or add to the discussion. Maybe you have some expertise in this that you want to share experiences that you've lived around this topic. And so know those are the two features that we definitely want to have you utilize throughout the webinar today. We've got a poll to kind of begin the knowledge of College ROTC information. So we'll launch that poll, and it's how many college and universities across the United States offer ROTC programs. So you will all be able to see that on your screen. And if you'll choose an answer choice as you join us, as our colleagues are joining the webinar today around College ROTC, we will see how many have the knowledge about how many college and universities offer ROTC programs in the United States. So the options are a little more than 1,700, a little more than 2,100, and just over 1,000. All right, we'll give everybody a few more seconds. Let's give about 10 more seconds as people are joining the webinar today. Welcome. Got a little intro activity to test your knowledge around ROTC programs. All right, let us wrap it up and I will broadcast those results. So the results are in. A large number think just over 1,000. Some have a little over 1,700 and a few, a little more than 2,100. So the correct answer here is a little more than 1,700. So more than what the majority thought. And so we're excited to have our panelists today hopefully educate all of you around what those opportunities look like in colleges here in Mississippi and in different types of ROTC programs. So I'll hand it over to Shannon and have her kind of begin this webinar and introduce our presenter.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I'm Shannon Grimsley, the Director of State Outreach for the Woodward Hines Education Foundation and the Get to College program. We are recording today's session and will send a link to anyone who is registered for the webinar. For those watching the recording, today's date is March 1st, 2022, and the material in this webinar is current through the 21-22 school year. In today's session, College ROTC information, you will hear from some of the colleges and universities in Mississippi that offer ROTC programs. I will now share a little background on Get to College and a few logistics for the webinar before we get started. Get to College is a nonprofit program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. We have 3 centers in Mississippi, one in Jackson, Ocean Springs, and South Haven. And we help parents, students, and high school counselors with all aspects of the college planning and financial aid process. And best of all of our services are 100% free. In our centers, we offer personalized college counseling appointments where we can help students know when to apply for admission and scholarship, help them fill out their FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, and advise on essay writing and interviewing. As we said earlier, during the webinar, we cannot see or hear you, but we do ask that you ask us those questions anytime through the instant message or the Q&A process. Here's our agenda for the day. We will move on in a moment to our presenters. Then at the end, we will have Q&A, and then we'll give you information about our upcoming webinars and then get to college's contact information. My co-presenter, Kirsten Dufour, will be monitoring and replying to the Q&A today, but we will have time for live Q&A with the presenters at the end. But again, feel free to message your questions at any time. I would now like to present our speakers for the day. Our first speaker is going to be Lieutenant Tanner Hudson. Tanner is an assistant professor of naval science at the University of Mississippi and nuclear propulsion officer. He graduated from the University of Washington with a BS in microbiology in 2016. He is a strike officer on USS Ross and attended Navy Nuclear Power School and Prototype and graduated as an honor graduate. He is also a reactor mechanical division officer on the USS Gerald R. Ford and attended Nuclear Engineering Officer School and graduated with excellence. Lieutenant Hudson currently serves as a nuclear propulsion officer and freshman and sophomore advisor for the Ole Miss ROTC students. Next, we have Captain Christopher Flowers. Captain Flowers is the Education Recruiting Officer at Airforce Reserve Officer Training Corps, Detachment 006, Jackson State University. He leads, recruits, trains, counsels, and evaluates highly qualified young men and women as prospective Air Force officers. He advises unit instructors on course curricula, procedures, and manages educational materials and directs in-service training. He drives a recruitment effort developing targeted recruitment materials and detachment outreach efforts for a population of over 40,000 students in the local area. Captain Flowers grew up in Panama City, Florida, and attended Florida State University in Panama City, Florida. He earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering in 2010 and later commissioned through Officer Training School in 2014. Our last presenter is Captain Sean McBride. Captain McBride graduated from the United States Military Academy in 2017 with a degree in systems engineering. He served as an infantry platoon leader for 2 years with the 4th ID before joining the USM ROTC programs. He is currently serving as the sophomore military science instructor at USM. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today. I am now going to turn the presentation over to Lieutenant Hudson.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction, Shannon. I am Lieutenant Hudson. I am the freshman and sophomore academic advisor at the University of Mississippi and the nuclear propulsion officer. I'll also be speaking briefly on behalf of the University of Memphis, who is our partner university in our consortium. Next slide. My counterpart is Captain Phil Smith. He wasn't able to join us, unfortunately, but he is the Marine counterpart. The ROTC program has a Navy and a Marine side, so we do offer scholarships for both portions of that, Navy and Marine. Next slide. All right, so the purpose of the ROTC program in general for the Navy and Marine Corps is to produce unrestricted line officers for the Navy. So they're going to go on and serve in various different communities within the Navy or the Marine Corps, those being aviation, submarines, surface ships, and then we have limited opportunities for other communities as well, such as the medical field. For that, though, the primary purpose is to produce commissioned officers in the United States Navy and Marine Corps. Next slide. So again, if there are limited opportunities for other communities, however, the intent is to produce those line officers. Next slide. All right, so benefits of the National Scholarship. It does offer full tuition for colleges and universities. There are multiple universities throughout the country for that. We are the only naval ROTC unit in the state of Mississippi. It's also going to offer a stipend for textbooks, uniforms. You'll have summer cruises, which are training opportunities that we offer every summer. They will be required to attend those if they are on scholarship. but it does offer some pretty cool opportunities for travel, foreign travel. I was with the Portuguese Navy for a summer, so I had a lot of fun with that. A lot of really cool opportunities for that. And then in addition to tuition and all the other benefits, you'll have a stipend per month while you are on that scholarship. Next slide. We do offer another program called College Program. So if you don't pick up the scholarship when you first apply for that, you can still attend the ROTC program through a program called, and that's where you'll participate in the program, attend all the different events, do all the same training, and then you'll have additional opportunities to pick up that scholarship later on through different routes, and then you'll also have an opportunity to reapply for the national scholarship. Now, if you don't pick up the scholarship, but your desire is to still commission as an officer, we have advanced standing, which is where you will commission as an officer. No difference at all between scholarship and advanced standing. However, you will have to, that will be you paying for your own college, but you will have a job immediately out of college and you'll pick up a stipend as well. So plenty of opportunities later on if you don't get the scholarship on your first application. Next slide. So this does offer some benefits on its own. You'll have a stipend for textbooks, uniforms, and then you'll get that monthly allowance as well. So it does have benefits even if you don't get that scholarship. All right, so we do have universities throughout the United States, and then we are in a consortium with the University of Memphis, so we share a lot of the same staff and resources. The University of Memphis, they do have an additional program called NPP, and that is designed for people that are under-resourced. So the University of Memphis will pay for their entire freshman year. And then if they complete that program their freshman year, they will automatically get that scholarship. So a great resource for students who struggle financially. And again, that is through the University of Memphis NPP. If you are more interested in that program, just take a look at their website and they have the application for that there. But that will automatically be a scholarship after that first year if you meet the requirements. Next slide. All right, so the full list of program requirements is on the NROTC website. So they'll just, if you are looking for that, just NROTC scholarship, and it'll have all the requirements, everything on there. Just some major ones: U.S. citizenship, not less than 17 years old, and not older than 23 by the year of graduation. And then medical qualifications and various others as well. But again, just take a look at the website there, and I'll have everything clearly outlined on the website. Next slide. Next slide. All right, so the application, the timeline. So the website will have all the information on there as well, but the scholarship window for 2023 will open on April 1st and end on January 31st, 2023. So that is for fall 2023 scholarship. So that will be opening up here in the next several months, and then you'll have the entire rest of the year to apply for that scholarship. It is a little extensive. So I encourage everyone to start that earlier than later, and then they'll start doing the selection boards as the scholarship applications roll in. If you are interested in being a college programmer, that is through our website. So visit the Ole Miss ROTC website, and it'll have detailed instructions on the application for the college program. And again, if you don't get the national scholarship, I encourage students to apply for the college program, so that they can have additional opportunities to apply for the scholarship later on. Next slide. For the service requirements, for the Navy option, that will be a minimum of 5 years for active duty. And then there will be additional requirements for what specific community that you go into. Communities, again, being like aviation, submarine, SWO, special warfare, things like that. For example, for aviation, if you do you get selected to become a pilot, you will owe 8 years after you get your wings, which is your qualification to be pilot. So that will typically be around 10 years total commitment, but you'll get great job opportunities and you'll be very competitive once you're done with your time in the military. Very similar for the Marine options, it'll be 4 years. And then for Naval ROTC college programmer, if you do go through the advanced standing route, you will owe only 3 years for that, because that is they didn't pay for college, so you only have to serve 3 years, and that will again be an immediate job right out of college. Next slide. So if you, for all the applications for college programmer, visit the Ole Miss ROTC website, and then for the national scholarship, visit the ROTC scholarship website, and everything will be clearly outlined on those websites. For contact information for myself, that will be on the Ole Miss ROTC website. I'll have an email and a phone number for me there. Next slide. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time. Plenty of opportunities for Naval ROTC, and we hope we get some good applicants this year. We're always looking and encouraging new students to join. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Hudson. Remember, y'all keep dropping your questions in the Q&A, but we will turn it over to Captain Flowers now.
Good morning. I'm Captain Christopher Flowers. Primary Air Force job is cyberspace operations, but I'm doing a 2-year tour as an Air Force ROTC instructor. And with that, serving as the education and recruiting officer at Jackson State and the supported crosstown universities. With me, I have Cadet Caleb Weatherman, who can introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cadet Caleb Weatherman. I come from East St. Louis, Illinois. I'm currently a senior at Jackson State University. I'm on track to receive my bachelor's in business marketing this year. And next year, I'm actually planning to receive an MBA as well.
So, a little bit about our program. We have several opportunities available. A lot of opportunities available. Number one and most significant is the scholarship program. So for the Air Force ROTC scholarships, and that is anyone who wants to commission in the Air Force or in the Space Force, it ranges anywhere from the high end of of full out-of-state tuition to $9,000 a semester for tuition cost. With that, you're also going to get a book stipend and a living stipend monthly. The living stipend will go on if you are a scholarship student through your freshman and sophomore academic years, but the summer between it will pause. As you're transitioning into your junior and senior year, though, it will continue through the summer of those periods. Our course is broken up into 2 major parts. For the first half, as a freshman and sophomore, you're studying the general military course. You're learning Air Force fundamentals, history, how to function in the military. And then when you cross into the junior and senior years of the program, you're then in the professional officer course when the cadets are the individuals who actually run the program. And so at that point, you're transitioning from foundational knowledge into leadership skills and refinement. Some other major pieces here, jobs for the Air Force that are offered between the Air Force and Space Force. If there's a civilian job on out and about that someone is interested in, there more than likely is an Air Force counterpart to that job between the Air Force and Space Force, whether you're talking about a logistics officer that takes care of something similar to what a FedEx or UPS executive might take care of, all the way up to our operational jobs where our fighter pilots, our cargo pilots, our cyber ops, space ops. So it kind of runs the gamut. So regardless of what a potential student is interested in doing career-wise, the Air Force and Space Force offer something with that. Travel opportunities, obviously there's bases all over. So if an individual is interested in going the Air Force and Space Force route and they want to travel is definitely a part of it. Security clearances. So if someone wants to use Air Force or Space Force as a stepping stone to other career moves later on, you can come in, serve the minimum 4-year commitment. Following your commission, again, will vary if you do some type of advanced training afterwards. The high end on that one is a pilot, which translates to after your training is done, a 10-year total commitment, counting your training time. To the low end of, again, being some of the non-ops jobs of the 4-year commitment. You're gonna have a security clearance though. All Air Force jobs at the very least and Space Force have at least a secret security clearance, which is something that could save your potential future employees a significant amount of money. And then top secret clearance, even more money connected with that. Additionally, if you don't qualify for one of the scholarships, Scholarship deadlines for high school students and the high school scholarship to pay for all 4 years. The major milestone that everything has to be wrapped up by is January of the senior year. With that, you need to have your interview done. You need to have your ACT, which we look for 26 as a minimum score for that, and a 2.8 as a minimum GPA. But there are several other pieces to it. And again, would encourage you to look at the Airforce ROTC website to make sure that your students are on track for that, or have them contact me and I'll provide my contact information at the close of this. So that's requirements to enter the program. For those individuals that do not qualify for a scholarship initially, the first 2 years are non-competitive. So a student in their freshman year of college or their sophomore year of college can sign up to participate in the ROTC program without having a scholarship already. They can compete for the in-college scholarship once in. The requirements shift slightly for the in-college scholarship program. Instead of the ACT being the primary thing, we have a specific test called the Airforce Officer Qualifying Test, which is structured very similar to the ACT. There are study guides available to it and a lot of resources out there that, again, if someone wants to look up or ask me more about, I can't provide the information on. The requirements to participate in the program once you're in, and the expectations for students. So you're going to have one extra academic class. For your freshman and sophomore years, it's going to be a 1 credit hour class. For your junior and senior years, it's going to be a 3 credit hour class. You'll have that. You'll have a lead lab that occurs once a week. And during that lead lab, cadets will learn the basics of marching, saluting, reporting procedures, how to interact, sort of a hands-on portion of the military training environment. We'll also have PT sessions occurring between 1 to 2 times a week over the course of the last academic year, depending on COVID and how everything else goes with that. But focused on aerobic health with cardiovascular focus, and we're going to be doing a lot of body weight exercises and running. So for maintaining status in the program, mentioned before that a 2.8 is a scholarship requirement. Once you get a scholarship, a 2.5 is required to maintain that scholarship, and a 2.0 is required to maintain status inside the program. There's a major milestone between the sophomore and junior year that where the program crosses from being non-competitive to competitive. At that point, cadets compete for a field training slot, which is the closest thing to boot camp that an ROTC cadet is going to see. This is a 2-week event that occurs at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. And during that time, leadership skills are assessed in stressful environments. Again, this is the closest that a cadet is going to see in a true boot camp environment, but it's not quite what you're going to be seeing in the movies. It's a little bit more, again, focusing on how cadets are going to perform under pressure in leadership capacities. So that's it as far as the again, major pieces that it's important for students to know as they're considering coming into an Air Force ROTC program. But also wanted to give a moment to Cadet Leatherman to share his perspective as a current cadet in the program, some things that motivated him and some things that he would potentially tell to a younger self that is wavering on deciding whether or not he wants to go into a ROTC program.
All right, good morning again, everyone. I wanted to start with just how I feel about the program, my thoughts. So this program is a very much cadet-led program, and I've gotten to have a lot of opportunities on growing on both my leadership skills and my fellowship skills. And as Captain Flowers mentioned earlier, we have these events each week called Lead Lab, and this is when us, the POC, we plan a way to train the newer cadets and get them to understand the standards of the military, of the Air Force, teach them the proper procedures, how to salute and all that. And a position I held, the operations squadron commander, it actually allowed me to be the main one planning and executing the procedures for running that lead lab. So I actually got to sit down with another cadet. We came up with, detailed plans on, what we do, when we do it, who's going to teach what, who's going to, be evaluated that certain day. So it was actually a great, experience on understanding, the logistics of running an operation and, learning from the mistakes you might have made and, doing better for the next time. And currently I'm a flight commander, and this has given me a even better experience on how to deal with people on like in an interpersonal level. So learning how to, talk with them, discuss any issues they may have, try to come to a, better understanding with them, and basically just work with them and try to instill, I guess, a sense of why they would want to be there by giving them an idea of why I would want to be there, which is what I'm about to go into right now. So I joined the program sophomore year. Previously, before that, I really had no interest in joining the military, no interest in joining the Air Force. I had a group of friends. They were all part of the ROTC program. I thought it was cool originally, but again, I didn't have much interest. But, as I saw them, start to change a bit, start to grow as people, I became interested in it. I wanted to see what the program did for them and what it can do for me. So I went to, speak with the commander. We talked. I learned about all the opportunities available. I learned about the growing opportunities, like I said before, how to grow as a leader, the places I could go to, the funding that the Air Force could provide. As I said in my introduction, I am pursuing a graduate degree, and hopefully it goes through and the Air Force will help me out with that. And that's a big reason why I think other people should consider joining the military, joining the Air Force, because it's a lot of financial opportunities available for them. And pursuing higher education, I think, is a very important thing to do, especially in today's world. Um, Taking an initiative to try to change yourself to be a better person, learn more skills, meet more people, get a mentor. All those things are reasons why somebody should consider joining a program like ROTC, and more specifically join a program like the Air Force ROTC. And that's all I have. Thank you.
And one other piece I want to throw out there to make sure that it's made aware is it can be a daunting thing to know that you're competing for a scholarship against any other high school student that is potentially interested in, again, an Air Force level program. A unique thing for us, though, is each one of our detachment commanders at the local level is able to offer one scholarship at his or her discretion to potential students. So then in that case, detachment like our own, where we have 30 cadets and 20 of which, well, probably closer to 15 are in the range of potentially competing for a scholarship. You get the FaceTime with the commander, you do some interviews, and you interact with that individual, whoever he or she is, some amount prior to, and you meet the minimum qualifications, and you can get the scholarship right there on the spot rather than applying at the Air Force level nationwide. But thank you for the time, and I'll type in my contact information into the chat box. If anyone has any questions or wants any information sent to them, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Captain Flowers. Now we're going to turn it over to Captain McBride.
Hello, Captain McBride here from Southern Miss Army ROTC. I am the sophomore military science instructor, and appreciate y'all being here. Like my counterparts in the Air Force and Navy, the Army ROTC also has a 4-year scholarship, and it's one of the more competitive things that we have. You compete against the whole country, and then there's also 2- and 3-year scholarships. So if you get on campus and you start performing well, it's really easy for us to kind of transition you into a 3-year, get you a 3-year scholarship. And like the Air Force and Navy, we give all kinds of scholarships, but the Army is just a bigger program. it's a bigger organization. So it's a lot easier for us to give out scholarships and find money for our students. And one of the huge things that Southern Miss has is the Golden Eagle free tuition program. For anybody who's in the National Guard in Mississippi, their tuition is completely paid for at Southern Miss, which is a great deal. A lot of our cadets do that. As far as cadet life, you take 4 military science courses. And if you're in the National Guard, though, and you've gone to basic training, you have already validated the first 2 years of ROTC. But you have your MS 1, 2, 3, and 4. After your MS 3 year is when you go to cadet summer training. It's held at Fort Knox. It's a 6-week leadership experience. They really test you and push you and kind of evaluate you so you can see how you, it kind of will set you up for your next job in the Army or your first job in the Army. We do PT 4 times a week, and it's a lot of based on running and a lot of lifting now too, as the Army is transitioning their PT test. Additionally, during the summertime, there is an opportunity for us to send our cadets to schools. We have, this year alone, we have 4 cadets going to airborne school at Fort Benning, Georgia, and I believe 6 cadets going to air assault school, learning how to rappel out of helicopters and Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So there's just all kinds of opportunities for training and everything for the cadets over the summer. And another unique thing for Southern Miss is that we are the task force lead for Mississippi. So we have more instructors, and we're the ones who plan and conduct all of the major field training exercises in the state of Mississippi over at Camp Shelby. So we just have a lot more instructors than a normal school, and it gives us, a great ratio for instructors to cadets. And as far as contracting with us, you have to get a physical. We put you up through the physical. Once that gets approved, it'll be a PT test. And after you pass the PT test, you're able to contract with us. Contracting with us means you get a cadet stipend. It's $420 a month. And that's when you're required to start coming to PT, and you sign up and say, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna join the military, join the Army after you graduate. And then once you graduate, there's 17 different branches of the Army that you can go into. You can be a pilot and fly helicopters, or be an infantry officer like myself. And depending on your scholarship, you either have a 4-year or a 3-year commitment, or if you do something specialized like a pilot, it's a 12-year commitment. That's all I got. I'll put my contact information in the box if you have any questions. I appreciate y'all.
Well, thank you, all of our panelists. So if any of our participants have questions, feel free to drop those in the Q&A. I have some questions that I've kind of jotted down, and Shannon, feel free to jump in here. So my first question is going to go to Lieutenant Hudson. You mentioned about there's kind of a lot involved around the scholarship program for the application that opens in another month. Can you give a little bit more details, just how the participants in this webinar can prepare their students? Is there an academic component, resume? We've heard for a few of the presenters there was an interview. Kind of talk, can you give us a little bit more detail so that way the educators, if they do have students that are interested in the program, can kind of have a little background knowledge to know how to share it with their students?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is very similar to my counterparts in the Air Force and the Army. So there's going to be a physical component to that called the AFA, which is a fitness test administered by any coach, or it can be anyone locally as well. So you don't need to do extensive planning for that component to that. And then there'll be minimum requirements for ACT and SAT, same requirements as the Army and the Air Force. And then there's also going to be an officer interview that will be scheduled once you have actually submitted your application. So that process will be the electronic application with that fitness test, getting a medical physical to get cleared medically, And then once that's submitted, you'll have an officer interview, and that will be scheduled through the coordinator for that scholarship, and that will actually most likely be me giving that officer interview for the state of Mississippi. And then once all that is done, that will be submitted and go up to a review board, and then it will be ranked nationally, and they'll distribute the scholarships based off of the results from that board.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. And while I have you on Spotlight, is there, how long are the scholarship programs? Is it intended for, and do most of the students that participate stay within cohort of like 4-year? I know that we've learned in this webinar that there are some for incoming for 4-year, but there's some that can also be gained as a current college student. And you mentioned about non-scholarship programs that you have. Is there like a set, like, when a student, gets an academic merit scholarship, it's for, 4 years, 8 semesters. Is there same parameters around the scholarship that you all offer?
Yeah, so the national scholarship is a 4-year national scholarship that will cover full tuition for certain majors, tier 1 majors, so higher engineering like mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. There are opportunities for a 5th year as well, given that you meet the certain requirements for that. So that national scholarship, again, 4 years, and then we will offer 2- and 3-year scholarships. And those are those additional opportunities that you can pick up if you are participating in the unit and you were not able to pick up that 4-year national scholarship. So you can apply again freshman year for that 3-year scholarship, and then sophomore year for that 2-year scholarship. And that will be a full tuition for those remaining years.
Thank you. I appreciate your more details provided here. My next question is for Captain Flowers, which I'm going to add you. 1 second. All right, Captain Flowers, I know that you mentioned that there, and I believe the words that you use is the consortium for the Jackson metro area. I know that we've got some counselors on here who are from the Metro Jackson area, and I know JSU kind of works with the private schools as well as the community colleges in the area. Can you talk a little bit about if a student is looking to go to like a Millsaps or a Hines or a Tougaloo, how that relationship works with JSU and the ROTC consortium program? I'm gonna let you take it from there because I don't want to mess up the words.
Right. So the technical piece of how each individual university that is a crosstown university for us interacts is dependent on the individual university. But the short of it is that Belhaven, Millsaps, Hines, Tougaloo, and Mississippi College, as well as Mississippi College of Law, if you want to go into the Air Force or Space Force afterwards, you'll participate in the program that's hosted at Jackson State. So for our crosstown students, what this looks like is they will come to Jackson State for their Airforce ROTC class, their lead lab, and their PT, and then their other classes they're going to take at whatever their normal university is. So that's the short of it. The sign-up process is, again, from school to school varies, but yeah, basically you're taking your normal classes at your primary university and your ROTC here locally.
Thank you. That's really helpful to kind of understand how that relationship works. All right, I do have a question. Next up is Captain McBride. So let me do some switching around. All right, Captain McBride, you mentioned about being the lead task force for the state of Mississippi at Southern Miss. And I know that you mentioned there's a lot of opportunity there for a more smaller, instructor to student type of ratio, cadet ratio. Can you talk a little bit more about the benefits of what a student is looking for in high school? Maybe they are in ROTC currently in JROTC and they're looking to join at the college level. Are there any, things that they need to be aware of as far as how that works, how that transition goes? A lot of the students that we work with are part of JROTC because they have that smaller classroom experience within the high school, and that's a benefit that they're looking for. It sounds like that Southern Miss in addition can offer. So can you talk a little bit for those educators out there that do have students that they're thinking of that are currently in that JROTC program, how that transition will work for them?
Yes, I encourage everybody to sign up for the MS 100 class. It's the basic level ROTC class for freshmen. And I actually taught it last year. And it's a fantastic course to kind of introduce kids into the Army. And we have a lot of JROTC students who go into that class. And, you know, it's a great level to kind of see if ROTC is for you. And I would say just at Southern Miss, sign up for the MS 100 class. It is really easy and gives a great opportunity to kind of learn about the Army and get a foot in the door with the program.
All right, that's very helpful. I know I've learned about a lot more about military science classes in just this webinar itself. So I appreciate all of you that have presented. I don't see any questions thus far in the Q&A. So Shannon, I'm gonna hand it back over to you. If you have any questions or if you want to kind of wrap up from here.
Sure. Thanks so much. We really do appreciate your time. This is something that our audience, as Kirsten said earlier, wanted to know more about. So I know they're very, very appreciative of this information and knowing who to reach out to if they have questions for any of their students. So again, thank you very much. For all of our participants on the webinar today, we would appreciate it if you would complete the short survey that will automatically pop up at the end of this meeting. Please fill that out and give us feedback on today's webinar so that we can keep improving on these webinars. So today's webinar was the third in our spring series. Our spring topic Tuesdays will continue through May of 2022. You can see the remaining 2 spring topics here, and that information is on our website as well. So our next one in April will be presented by the William Winter Center for Racial Reconciliation. That is a mouthful, but we will be talking about some general terms that deal with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then in May, we will be presenting a webinar on career counseling best practices. So those will be our remaining 2. If you participate in 5 webinars for the 21-22 school year, you can apply for 0.5 CEUs. And if you've attended all 10 of the fall and spring webinars by the end of May, you can apply for 1 full CEU. You can register for these webinars on the Get to College website. They are listed under the Educator tab and then choose Professional Development. While you're there registering, please check out all the other resources for you and your students listed under that Educator tab. A few other things that we wanted to point out is the upcoming training opportunities, the course for the Master Teacher of College and Career Readiness course, or the CCR class. That course will begin on June 1st of 2022, and registration will open next month on April 1st, 2022 through the Mississippi Council for Economic Education. So this is a great opportunity for any of your college and career readiness teachers to become a master teacher. So check that out or pass that along to any appropriate folks. We are working on getting our upcoming trainings for summer and fall of 22, and we'll be updating the webinar later, or the website later this spring with those opportunities. So, and then the very last thing, as far as virtual training opportunities, we will have our last college and career teacher chat on March 30th. And all of this chat will take place from 3:30 to 4:15. So, and again, you can register for all these trainings under the professional development website, or tab on our website. So again, thank you very much for your time today. Here's our contact information. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at Get to College. So everyone, have a great rest of your day. Happy March, happy spring, and we will see you all again in April. See you later.